Hey,
We're
everybody.
back.
Welcome back to another episode of God's Got It.
Yeah, I thought we would take some time today and, land in the space and talk in real time.
Catch the
What
people up.
God? Yeah, we've got a lot. I mean, we started recording this at the beginning of December. Now, if you're listening, this episode is being recorded middle of February. I mean, and so much has been unfolding in our lives, in our businesses, and, you know, maybe grab a cup of coffee or a matcha if that's your vibe. Definitely not my vibe at all, but and join us and get caught up on what God's been doing and how He's been moving in our lives the past couple of months.
Yeah.
You want to start? Where are you at? Where's God got you these days, Molly?
Where has God got me? The first thing I wanted to say is like, by the balls. That's not
That would
true.
be
That's not true.
very.
That's just where my brain brought me. He has me in a deep state of surrender, honestly, and I feel like I thought I knew what surrender was. But now I'm in a season where I'm being opened up to real, true surrender, and surrender that has this full faith that everything is working out exactly how it's meant to, that literally God's got it. Like, I don't have to have any of it. My daily practice has been one of bringing every little thing to God and laying it at his feet, like surrendering, submitting. And through that process, I'm feeling so much peace in the places where I was always striving. And I didn't realize before I came home to God fully that I was striving for these markers of success that I thought would bring me that peace, right? I wanted prosperity in the form of certain numbers in my business, a certain amount of money, a certain amount of clients coming in. And because over the past 5 months, God completely had me burn my business down to the ground and start over from scratch. Starting over from scratch, you have to surrender to, like, okay, I'm not going to immediately have clients and money and recognition in this thing. And I really have to surrender it and submit it all over to God. And it's been a hard process. It's been a crazy pruning process, and it is ever ongoing. I happen to be in a really good string of days right now, right? Where I'm feeling so much peace in that surrender. But yeah. I mean, tangibly, physically, I think I've named it before on this show, maybe in another episode. We've talked a couple of times about the way that God had both of us burn our businesses down to the ground. And it was in September, maybe right before our retreat, that I really felt called to pull back on all of my offerings, any way that I was working in the energy healing space, offering healings to clients, that sort of thing. I really disintegrated that aspect of my business, aside from finishing out contracts that I already had moving. And I felt this like loud call from God of, you're going to burn it down because I want you to start over with me at the center. And my starting over with him at the center was this call towards creating this digital product that at first I thought the name of the product was going to be God Embodied. It was a title that had been coming through for me for, I mean, over a year. It
Months.
was
I was gonna say it's been a really long time that we've been talking
Then I'm
about
like, I
this
don't know
God
what that's going to
embodied.
be, but it's going to be
Yeah.
something. And I thought it was going to be I mean, let's back it up a little bit. I tried to force it into it being a program over the summer that just never got wings under it. And then I was like, oh, it's going to be a book. And I started trying to like force this book out of myself, and that never got wings under it. And I just kind of, without knowing that that's what I was doing, I surrendered it. I submitted it. I let it go. Like, I just let it go. And as we were moving into retreat and building out the community after the retreat and leaning into making this podcast, it was around Thanksgiving that God had me start a brand new Instagram. And as I was starting that Instagram, it just came through like, oh, this is God embodied. Okay. And then he started showing me what this brand was going to be, and taking my last 5+ years inside of online entrepreneurship and pouring that into teaching others the tangible skills that I didn't have somebody teach me when I first got started, of how to build a brand and build a platform and build a business that is of service, rooted in scripture and rooted in Him and rooted in the firm foundation of faith in God versus all of the external idols that He was pruning away from me and my life by burning down that other business. So yeah, the past 4 months has been, I mean, I've only been in the building phase of that for what is time? I mean, it was right at the end of Thanksgiving, beginning of December. So only 2.5 months. Um, and through that, I've been building out this really beautiful, extensive digital product that is a devotional framework that has people really working on their direct embodied relationship with God through the art of creation, and creation being a digital platform, a mission, a service, that sort of thing. And it's launching soon. I keep saying soon because I don't have an exact date on it yet. And I'm trying not to grab onto my selfish ambition and just push myself to get it out to the world. It's been a really beautiful process of having God create this thing through me. But it's getting really close. Like I keep saying, before the end of February, it'll be out to the world.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I can't wait to personally get my hands on it and see. Um, because it's a different ball game, and we've talked about that a bunch on this show, and I know that's like a recurring theme here for us, but it's like, how do we lead with a servant heart? How do we show up and let those idols die, or those other like leading forces that have been the catapulting of our business before, right? The money, the vanity metrics, like, and how many people are showing up, how many people are liking, how many people are sharing, how many DMs am I getting, and really having to meet those head on as you're building something that really does have God at the center. And I know you've been going through it over there through text messages and our conversations on here. So I'm just really excited to see um, how that unfolds. You kept saying about like, I'm just having to surrender and surrender and surrender. And I would love you to lean in if you feel comfortable of like, what does that look like or mean to you? Because I feel like people tell me that all the time, like, you just have to surrender this to God. You have to surrender this over to God. And I'm like, well, what does that mean exactly? Like, do I just say, here, God, you have it? And
Mm-hmm.
then and maybe it's that simple, but I have this tendency of creeping back over with my little controlling hands and grabbing it back up. So
Yeah.
I would love to know or hear from you, like, what does that surrender look like for you? Are you somebody who also struggles with that? Lay it down, pick it up, or am I the only crazy person who's out here doing that?
No, let's normalize that, because that's what this whole process is. I mean, I'm recognizing I thought that this thing was going to be taking all of the skills that I have acquired around branding and marketing and building a message that moves people, right? And a message that stands behind the service that you're here to offer and actually props that up, and a message that you're consistently pouring into content that is serving an audience before you're ever selling, right? This vantage point of like selling actually is a byproduct, it's a natural byproduct of service. So I was thinking about all the tangible, logical, linear aspects of this product and helping people go from a being, I know that I'm meant to create, or I know I have something to say, or I have this product idea, or I have an idea for a brand or for a platform, right? Or even just as simple as like, I know I want to be making content. I want to be an online creator, right? And taking them from there to fully formed digital service, brand, platform, and strategy to continuously build momentum through consistency and through devotion and relationship in God. And what He's shown me, I'm living the process as I'm about to offer it to people to bring them through, right? And the reality is, specifically, I think in the realm of online business and business on social media, we are in the lion's den of idolatry. Like, it is so easy for your flesh to slip into obsession over views and likes and comments, and how's that hook doing, and how's this piece of content doing, and it can just overtake you. It can become absolutely everything. And I have had so many moments throughout this process where God's had to check me and be like, see what you're doing right there? You have to put that down. Put that down, refocus your attention. This is what we're doing, right? Keep moving. Because I have had moments where I'll tell a brief story around the creation of this page. As soon as I started it, I felt like, oh, God's hand is all over this. My content was all popping. I was getting like 20,000 views on Reels. And I didn't realize, because it had been so long since I started and followed through with a brand new account, that there's kind of this like honeymoon period for an account where the algorithm's just pushing you out to everybody to try and see who your audience is. And around week like 6 or 7, I have a theory that the algorithm really caught on that I'm talking so like it's every piece of content is about God and pointing people back to faith and the interweaving of faith and business. And it's not everybody's cup of tea, right? It's a very niche and specific audience. And those views, once the algorithm figured out who my audience was, the views just started to tank and I started to stress. And I started being like, maybe this isn't actually what God called me to do. Like, and me having this idea of if God calls me to it, then it should be easy. It was so easy in the beginning. There was so much momentum. There was so much excitement. And it's really funny because I feel like that arc of viewership is also the arc of creation of anything in God, where immediately when you start something out and you're so inspired by it, it's exciting and there's momentum and it's rolling and you feel really good about the whole thing. But almost always there will come a time where that honeymoon period ends. And then there's just the monotony of consistency, of continuing to show up for that thing that you said you were going to create and follow through no matter what external metrics look like, right? So it's been a process for me to take a look at my connection to vanity metrics, to take a look at my connection to fast success, to take a look at the parts inside of me that the second something gets a little sticky or difficult, or I have to I don't want to say change course because I'm not changing course at all, but like learn and restructure the way that I'm speaking to people so that I can develop the skill of getting this out to more and more and more eyes and ears. The second something like that happens, I want to slip into like, well, it must not be, this must not be the right direction. And maybe I should go in a different direction. So I'm facing those things head on as I'm following through on this creation. Um, and what that looks like as far as surrender is that it's not just I surrender this to God and it's all rainbows and butterflies. It's noticing the times where I am putting my faith in something else, when I'm putting my faith in views or followers or how many people responded to a question box that I put on my stories, right? And leaning fully into my faith in God um while not ignoring the little pieces of, like, I call them God winks that come through, where I sent an email out to a 12-person wait list and I had 2 people respond back of like, wow, this hit me exactly when I needed it to. Or sometimes I'll put out a reel and it's not getting as many views as I think it's supposed to, but then that one person is like, this hit me exactly when it needed to, right? And that being the way God's forming my message and my voice and my mission in, can it be enough to just be in submission to me? And can it also be enough to know that you don't get to know what each piece of content is doing, what this program is going to do, what this offering is going to do, that it's not just about the normal worldly business metrics of what you're going to receive by the input you're putting in. It's about just having faith that you are provided for in me and that everything else is going to work itself out around that and might not look anything like what you thought or dreamed or wanted it to, but will you keep going anyway?
Mm, so good. And so many nuggets of wisdom in there. What I'm hearing some of myself and deeply resonate with this, what I would label that low frustration tolerance. I'm recognizing in myself that I have an extreme low frustration tolerance. And I do have this very unrealistic expectation that it's just, I want it to happen fast. And if it doesn't happen fast, then maybe it's not where I'm supposed to be. And it's like, I'm not sure where I developed that along the line, because you think about like I went to school, I went to college and grad school, and all that stuff was really hard, but I knew at the end like it all made sense. So I'm not sure where I developed this lack of ability to allow myself to be a beginner.
Mm.
I'm feeling that so deeply right now in my own walk with I'm building my life insurance business, building an agency, and working on the producer side of things, and trying to have that servant heart about that, and really wanting to protect families, and also like recognizing I want this success so fast, and seeing how I'm still placing money on an altar of like, well, when if I could just be more successful and figure out what the clues are here to get to the place where I'm seeing all these other people at, then all my problems are going to go away. And God just keeps having to very humbly remind me it doesn't work that way. Where did I ever say anywhere that this walk was going to be easy? And then I think somewhere in the long, like similarly to what you're saying, this idea of like, if it's from God, it will be easy. And that's not the case
Where
at
did I
all.
even get
And
that from? Like, who said that?
summer, I know, right? Like, where did we learn that story? I really need to like go in and control, I'll delete that from my brain, because I fall into that so much. And we do find ourselves telling that story. We're like, man, is this a struggle because this isn't from God? And I think we can solve that obviously by spending time actually getting into our word, sitting in quiet time, and having that prayer time with God. I think that when it's from God, it will feel calm and like an anchored sense of knowing. But He
Mm.
never said that the walk would be easy. I don't know what Bible verse it is. I can't quote Bible verses very well, but there is a part where it talks about like we've got to, die to our flesh. We've got to lay down like our old life and walk in this way, and know that it's going to be hard
In
to
this world, you will
follow
have
and to
many
lay
struggles,
down.
many hardships. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's interesting though, because something that God is forming in my relationship with Him is that our struggles actually come from our attachment to the outcome. So when I can
Mm.
remember to turn my eyes to God and know that in Him I am already free, I am already provided for, I am already taken care of, and allow that word to become flesh in my life, in my body, it allows me to more easily surrender the outcome of like, oh, it doesn't matter how many people see this. It doesn't matter how many followers I get. It doesn't matter how much money I make off of this launch, because I believe I have full faith that I am provided for, right? And I feel like a past version of myself would get so frustrated in listening to that, because it's like, okay, but I have very real problems in money. Like, I really need real money right now, right? And while there is an opportunity in coming home to Christ where you stop putting your faith in the things that are seen, and you start putting your faith in the things that are unseen, and it's a process. But a gift that has been given to my husband and I through this season, because I'll also name this, like, okay, my husband and I are both entrepreneurs. He owns a painting, cabinet refinishing, and furnishing refinishing business. I burned my business down in September with like very little notice and very little idea of how I was going to be generating any kind of income outside of the few contracts I had coming in. Just all of these ideas of the projects that God was leading me into, right? And this is coming right up against a yearly season inside of the industry that my husband works in, where things just go dead. Between Christmas and end of January, the contracting industry goes dead. And we know this. It happens every single year. We prepare for it, right? But this year we're a little less prepared because homegirl decided to burn her business to the ground in God right before this season started, right? So we were squeezed, like truly, truly tightly squeezed for the past 2 months when it comes to our finances. And that ended up giving us such a beautiful gift of realizing the ways that we were still putting a certain amount of money on the pedestal of peace. That once we get back to this much, then we will be okay. Then we can be in peace. Then we can finally surrender. Then we can relax. And it was a process between the two of us, consistently praying, consistently being in the word, consistently being with God, where he was like, when are you going to trust me that you are provided for? And even though we were squeezed by our worldly vantage point of how much we actually would prefer to have in and around our bank accounts, everything was provided for. Every bill was paid. We didn't go without, like, it was scary and it was stressful, but it ended up being such an incredible gift that we've gotten in other seasons too. Like, it's not the first time that we've been through a financially like squeezing season, but allowing yourself to be in those places where uh you don't actually have the right now evidence of it all working out, but surrendering into that scary place of, but I'm going to put my faith in God and put faith in the reality that I will be provided for. And I'm going to stay in prayer and in connection to God, and not just my own strength and my own mind and my own ability to figure it out. That's when he presents you with opportunities to receive the bounty of that faith, because you're living in it and you're choosing it, right? So, like, I'm naming we had everything that we needed, and I fully wholeheartedly believe it's because of the reality that we were living inside of faith. And that season was incredibly hard. That's what I'm saying, like, we're just kind of coming up for air now, but on the other side of it, it's like now there's jobs rolling in my husband's business again. I'm about to launch in here. Like, there's so much fruit that's coming from that season of allowing ourselves to be in a surrender to, I don't know how this is all going to work out. I don't know if we're going to be okay. I don't know how we're going to make all of our ends meet, and allowing the ends to be met naturally, not by force of our own doing.
Mm, I love that.
Yeah. I think that that's a sticky reality of surrender that we don't always speak to, where, how you said, it can be so easy to be like, just surrender it, submit, surrender it, submit. And it's like, sometimes surrender looks like, I don't have any other option except to just like, Lord, I don't know how this is going to work out, but I surrender it over to you because I don't know what else to do, and I realize that I need you. And those being some of the most beautiful gifts inside of faith, when we get to the end of ourselves and we have no choice but to submit and surrender, because we're giving him the opportunity to show up for us the way that he says that he will.
I love that. And I love the way that story is unfolding for you guys. And, I know we've had so many conversations around finances. And I really do think at this point in time, now because it's coming around again, we need to do a whole episode on money.
Oh yeah.
Talking
Oh
about
yeah.
money. Somebody write it down on a notepad or something so we don't so we don't forget. But
Like,
yeah, I
boss.
mean, that's a hard one. And, you know, having this idea, like our core kind of driver for us around like validation and control, and like loving God but still needing that outcome to confirm, right, that you're okay, but realizing that when we live in that state of mind, the fruit that is bearing,
Mm-hmm.
like comparison, overthinking, not enoughness, right? Like, I'm just thinking of when we get into that headspace, all of the fruit that bears for us. For me, even too, like mood being tied to my results, right?
Mm.
Like when I'm making a sale, or like I'm noticing something that's going my way, my emotions and everything is so amazing. And then when I have a day where I've been on the phone dialing and I'm calling people and I've made 100 phone calls and someone cursed at me and hung up at me and I've made no sale at the end of the day or set no appointments, like, and how my mood is dictated by that. And that is like a clear state to me of when I am in that like selfish ambition state of mind and
Mm-hmm.
not, releasing and relinquishing that outcome. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. Selfish ambition is really the root of what it comes down to. And selfish ambition comes from, oh my God, we can go so deep here, but it comes from that wound of separation that we have from God. Like, when we're out here in the world chasing numbers and chasing clients and chasing money, What we are actually chasing is the satiation that only God can give us. And that's why I have it written on a post-it note right here. Matthew 6:33-34. But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all of these things shall be added unto you. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about its own things. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble. And how many times throughout scripture Jesus points to this way of being that's like, have no fear. And if we are in fear, we are moving from that wound of separation from God. And the only thing that can heal that wound is God, right? So you can chase and chase and chase and chase all you want, but it's this endless hamster wheel. It's never going to be enough until you choose to put God back at his rightful place. And just by doing that, I'm noticing the chase stops, right? My actions now are coming from this place of, God, what will you have me do today? And I'm just listening and obeying and abiding and moving in that way. And it doesn't mean that I don't still get thoughts that come up of like, oh, I wish this was going this way. But the more you train your brain to put Christ at the center instead of your own outcomes at the center, the more you catch those thoughts and can reconnect back to God and the truth of God and who he says he is. And it ends that anxiety and that constant feeling like, again, like you're running on a treadmill, but you're never actually ending up anywhere. Like he is the only thing that can end that pattern. And that's a place where he has me now. I'm really feeling that in the past. I think it was last week that I was telling you on the podcast that I was coming out of like a real contraction. And since
Mm.
then, since coming out of that contraction, I'm noticing the fruits of that pruning process. That is so much peace in him and faith in him and who he says he is, not in the outcomes that I think are going to bring me that peace that, again, I know logically, but I have to learn to embody, can only come from living in union with God.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And just naming for anyone who's listening and you're like, oh, that sounds so easy, like knowing also that this is a practice. Like when I was naming earlier about I sit it down and pick it back up, I was talking about me. That was your girl here. I am forever laying things down at God's feet and saying, you handle this, and then I'm just like, JK, and then I go and take my little grubby paws and I pick it back up because of this like deep internal need for control. And I've got to remember, like, I really do want to come from this like servant heart, and it's not about me and it's not about the metrics, and I'm worthy just as I am, and like it's okay for me to rest. It's okay for me to celebrate wins of other people and their successes and not get stressed out that, their business is doing this and why isn't my business, and just
Mm,
laying all of that down. And I feel a little embarrassed to name it, but I mean, we're about being real on this show, and that's the real internal dialogue that I struggle with, of like, I want to have a servant heart and I want to fully lean into that. And then I still notice these deep strongholds where God is still doing a work in me and through me to lay those things down.
mhm,
So if you're in that season as well, just like know you're not alone. And it does get okay. It's like an invitation of like, what are you inviting me into,
mhm.
you know?
Yeah. And it's from the little glimpses that I believe I have gotten in my life of what it feels like to actually live in complete surrender to Christ, is that it's so worth the process. And I don't believe that the process ever actually ends. Like, I think we've definitely named this before on the show. I think I named it maybe in my testimony episode where I said that one of the greatest gifts of coming home to Jesus is the permission to be human and the permission to be afraid and to be frustrated and to be angry and to be jealous, and not letting those things overtake you, but being, when we're honest about them and we can name them out loud, that's when we're giving ourselves the opportunity to give those things over to Christ, when we acknowledge it, right? Not when we hide it and we try to button it up and act like I'm this like perfected person in the face of God, but actually getting really raw and honest about the process of what it takes to be able to live in that freedom that we're speaking about, that God has to offer us when we choose this way, and that it's going to look different for everyone, right? I think I
Yeah.
just put out a piece of content maybe last week. It was like right out coming out the dark side of that, right? And I was naming about how much those moments show me that I need Jesus, and that sometimes I'm like, I actually can't do this at all. I need you to do it completely. And that the moment we are in a season of success or harvest, right? We're noticing and feeling the fruits of our labor, it becomes even more important to ensure that we are remaining in that direct relationship. Because I think the second we get our little like kind of confidence about us, right, he's going to show us again why we need him. And it's this continuous evolution of being a human, but also having the opportunity to live in God, and that it's a constant choice that we make through the recognition of the ways in which we just naturally act out of order or out of that sense of separation. It's so deeply ingrained in us. So yeah, no shame in that. No shame and no
Yeah.
condemnation, right? Because I was there 2 weeks ago and I'll probably be there in another couple weeks. I just get to speak from where I am today, which is one of those moments of like, oh, glory to God, thank you, because I get it. I'm so grateful for these moments of peace and spaciousness and opening where the lessons feel like they've landed and I'm not striving and struggling and in that state of anxiety,
Yeah.
which
Yep,
is
it's constant ebb and flow. I feel like, where one minute we're really in it and then we hit a different season, or a new like complication in something that we're navigating, and then God brings to our awareness yet again, a place like, okay, this is another thing I'm asking you to look a little deeper at, where you're still outsourcing, or you're still concerning yourself with the outcomes, or you're still really connected to your pride or your ego here. And again, it's not from a place of shame by any means. God is not here to shame us or make us feel bad. I think these are all very natural, normal human experiences that we go through, especially in the culture that we live in. It's just like a raising of your awareness, and like,
mhm,
hey, come back, I'm over here,
yeah.
right? And just noticing when you get knocked off of your square a little bit, just to come back home. So I'm so excited. I feel like so many people, Molly, are going to be blessed by this product that you're creating. And so,
That's the
um,
prayer. I mean, that's the other thing that's been so beautiful about the process of this creation is it has been so intentionally woven with so much prayer. Like this is the first time I'm creating and launching something in business that I am sitting in a daily conversation with God around, that I am praying over again and again and again, that it really is something that creators in this space are needing and craving, right? Because I think we are in a time of crazy revival, and revival comes along with people having these awakening moments of realizing that they want to be in service, that there is something on their heart that they want to create, that they have been living behind fear for so long. And yeah, he's just moving so beautifully in this product in the way that it is so anchored in, like there's a whole process, a direct strategy. We're going to go from A to Z, right? You will walk out of the end of um, this experience with a fully formed product, a brand, an understanding of how to build that brand, an understanding of how to navigate building a platform, all different content types, and like the back end of a business too. Like I'm walking you through how to actually set up like email structures. It's like it's everything that I wish that I had when I got started, only on the firm foundation of God. And utilizing the creation of your business and the service inside of your business as an act of devotion in him to strengthen that relationship instead of sever that relationship, which is so easy to do in the age of social media when we're building these businesses, like I said, in the lion's den of idolatry and metrics and money and fast pace and how much more can I produce, and just really rooting you in moving at God's speed, not world speed, and moving in the peace of God, not the peace of the outcome that you are going to obtain by creating this thing, and staying rooted in what is the story that God wrote on my life that gave me the expertise to be in service to people in this way. And it's just, I'm just so excited to witness like the ripple effect of service that comes out of people interacting with this, and it being like that exact spark of inspiration they needed to move from, I know that I have something inside of me, to wow, now it's out in the world and it's also grounded in God. Because that's where we bring heaven to earth, I feel like, right? When we are creating out of this deep connection to him and to love, and not to selfish ambition and the metrics and the money, and trusting in him that all those things will also come, right? That like he's going to get your service and your product and your business out to whoever it is meant for. And it might take time for it to build, but in that time that it's taking to build, he's teaching you consistency and follow through and how to be pruned of that attachment to the instant gratification. It's just been really, really cool to watch him weave this thing together, because I take no credit except for the having learned the skills to be able to put it on paper.
No, I mean, and it's beautiful to witness as an outsider the way God has used like your whole entrepreneurial journey over the past like going on 6 years now, and all of those hardships, every story, every lesson that you have walked through to get where you are right now, and He is literally like now you can look back at all of that and be like, oh, I see
I
now.
got it.
I get it, right? Like in the midst of all of that messiness, we're like, okay, this is not fun at all. But now being able to reflect back and all of the lessons, everything that you have walked through and traversed, now getting to be poured into this. And like, I'm just thinking about, yeah, how many people are going to be blessed by this? Because so many people, right? We go into business and doing these things if we want to help people, right? And we do have that servant heart. But you're going to be able to be helping so many people maybe new in their business and just starting off on the right foot, um, or people who are feeling really heavy in their business and not sure why they keep coming up against that wall. Yeah, so there's just so many different people that are going to be blessed by this and be brought back to God. And I'm just so excited to see how that all unfolds.
Mm,
And it's
thank
a
you.
beautiful space God has you in right now, ma'am. So
It is. It is. And I'm so grateful for it. And I'm grateful for this experience. I mean, I'm grateful for all of it, right? We are meant to be grateful for every piece of it. And in hindsight, I am, but I have, man, after putting out, we both had this experience recently. We're recording this on the back end of back to back weeks of putting out our testimonies. And both of us had a moment after each of our testimony came out of reflection of like, wow. I mean, I think those testimony episodes are maybe like an hour to an hour and 20 minutes each. And it scratches the surface of how much we've been through to get to the place that we are now at in God. And there was a lot of darkness and a lot of depression and a lot of despair and a lot of feeling like, man, I don't think I'm ever going to feel okay. And now to
yeah.
be where I am sitting in this experience, and nothing externally yet having really changed, right? Like I'm still in the baby stages of this business. I haven't even launched this product yet. This podcast is brand new. Our ministry is brand new. But seeing the foundation that was built through all of that darkness that he walked me through, and now witnessing, like having that faith in that which I cannot see yet, the beauty of what is showing up in business and in creation and in devotion to him.
And just for Anybody, like I said, who is feeling differently in this moment, as I was reflecting on my testimony episode coming out, I noticed a pattern. Um, that I'm still living in. So after I listened to it and I sat in my car and I was like, literally tears down running down my face. I was like, wow, God, looks like you've been trying to work on this lesson with me for a really long time. I still haven't gotten it, so I'm sorry about that. And I am actually now going to turn this over to you because clearly I can't do it on my own. I am just trying. And that for me is like this sense of control and always needing to be on the grind and knowing exactly where my money is coming from and keeping myself constantly busy. I know I have this deep story around lack of safety to be still. And so when I was listening back on the podcast, I was like, I was living this way before I went away. And then I created that life for myself while I was away. And then when I came home, I got right back into it. And then I was sitting in my car like, and I'm still in it. Okay, Jen,
Mm.
you're a little slow learner. It's fine. But it's time to like throw this tug of war rope like all the way down and like douse it in flames or something so I can't pick it back up because your girl is tired. But just naming that sometimes when God is doing a work on us, like
Takes
it's
time.
gonna take some time. And that was a real blessing to me, as hard as it was to listen in on my own episode. And yes, like everything I've come through, and it's messy and it's beautiful, and all the stories that came up for it was also like God still coming through me through my own words of like where I'm still have this selfish ambition. And I am like tying all of my worth and value to how much I am producing or how much I'm doing on a day to day. And yeah, I'm excited to see how God moves in my life now that I've kind of had this revelation and a come to Jesus moment, what we call it. Yeah, and so like that's just been really active in my prayer life. And I'm just excited to see, check in with me. We'll do one of these check-ins in another 3 months and see if I have or how I have. I'm gonna claim how I have moved through those things. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, lots of exciting stuff going on here.
Well, can we talk about, I'm reflecting on what you're saying about I'm still living in it. And it can be really easy to discredit how far you have, for anyone listening, how far you have actually come in a certain cycle or habit, that it doesn't look the same as it used to, right? It's not the exact same thing. It's like little by little, there has been a surrender process over time, and God has been answering that prayer through your connection to Him over time. It's not this all or nothing, right? And I think sometimes we can, as much as we can seek for the instant gratification and immediate validation of things, we also very much can have this all or nothing mindset that if I'm still in this pattern at all, it means that I haven't learned the lesson or I haven't grown or I'm still stuck in this space. And I just think there's a little by little process when it comes to these things of surrendering these strongholds or surrendering the things that we have adapted into, that we put our sense of self and our sense of safety into, because to our psyches and to our bodies it's literally like if I let go of this thing I'm gonna die, right? It's not just like I'm gonna be nervous or I'm
Literally.
not certain of what's gonna happen. It's like your body registers that as death because it is a death of an aspect of self. So it's not this quick, painless process all of the time, specifically the things that we have been taught to put our identity in that are going to keep us safe. And money isn't just a you and me thing. It's not just an entrepreneurial thing. I mean, it is a Western world thing, right? We've been taught from a very, very, very young age to put our faith in money, to put our faith in a paycheck, to put our faith in how much we have in a bank account, to put our worthiness inside of that as well. So to
Mhm.
be in a space in entrepreneurship where we're breaking through that bondage while simultaneously being a human who has to pay bills, right? And wants your business to be successful, especially now from this place of such a depth of service, right? But again, just continuous opportunities to give it to him and not just believe that we have the power to surrender, but that he is who he says he is. And that's why the deeper I go in my Christian walk, I'm like, you need to be in the word, reading who he says he is and allowing yourself to build such a sense of faith in that like when you're receiving those words of who Jesus says he is and what he will do in your life and that you will have peace and there will be prosperity and all of these things will be given unto you, right? From seeking God. Um, Having faith in that and letting that faith be the thing that moves you forward through these little micro adjustments to those old patterns. And I said that was a very long winded answer to name the reality of the decision that we recently made around our ministry. Like, that's a huge recognition that you are not in selfish ambition, right? Maybe in some areas there's still some selfish ambition, and God has done such a work inside of this business that we have given up any sense of receiving really any income from it for the foreseeable future because of the word that God has put on our life about it and having faith in that.
Yes. Yeah, so what Molly's talking about is we just we had been originally opening up our online living liberated community, and it really was originally in our minds a space that was going to be for healing, and we were going to be doing somatic work and nervous system regulation, and we were also doing connection calls and things like that. And we had a membership fee connected to it, and we've got a great group of women in there. And as we've been navigating over the past few months and the conversations that have been happening in there, Molly and I both have been, God has been coming to us separately. This is kind of a funny conversation because separately for Molly as well as myself, I guess having these conversations where God was kind of pulling at our hearts that this needed to be more accessible to all of the women that were within our community and beyond, and that we were really supposed to be creating this more as a ministry space where we would really be pointing people towards God, having these God conversations, opening our Bibles, getting in the Word. And then Molly sent me a text and she's like, kind of nervous to name this, and as soon as she said it, I was like, literally, God has been having the same conversation with me. So let's go, let's full send this thing. So yeah, we just decided that we're opening up that community. So there will be no charge to be in that. We're going to become a donation based organization and really leaning into the heart of what this ministry is being called to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't be more excited about it.
Me either. I'm really, 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 really excited about it. And that it just goes to show the willingness to be ready to pivot as God moves in your life, right? Because like Jenn named, we thought that this space, Jenn and I both come from a background as somatic practitioners. She was a breathwork facilitator. I was a somatic energy healer. And those are gifts that we still have to hold people in, but we've been really firmly redirected to the source of healing and the source of peace and the source of prosperity not being the healing journey, but it being God, right? And in that, we were listening to God when we launched our last retreat. We were listening to God when we created the community on the back end of that retreat, right? And it was just a continuation of listening to God as then we were inside of this community and the conversations that were being had and the direction that it was being led in, and being obedient when he called both of us separately of, do you see what's happening here? Like, this isn't just a community space that women are coming to be able to regulate their nervous systems. This is a ministry space women are coming to so that they can feel comfortable in their journey home to God. And it's something that's going to continue to evolve as we do. I mean, in naming that, we're opening our organization up to become donation based. So you'll begin to hear shortly on this podcast that if you are receiving from this podcast and you feel called to donate, we are accepting donations through this space. We'll be accepting donations through the ministry space. The ministry space is completely free. I apologize to any men who are listening. We love you, and this space is so for you. but the ministry at this point is a women's ministry. um, and that's a place that's completely now open and free to anybody who wants to join us. We will continue to have calls for donations there as well, and we're starting to see these bigger missions that are on both Jenn and I's heart from the things that we have lived through, that we want to begin acquiring resources to do even more outreach. So this thing that started out as this tiny little, like, oh, we're just going to have this integration community where we do some breath work, now God is expanding into this dream of bringing women home to God and inviting them into a space that allows us to do even more outreach to even more women. It's just, it's so God. It's so God. And it's nothing that we could have business planned our way into. And even as we're opening this up, it's like we don't know what's going to happen from there. We don't know how many people are going to join us. We don't know where this podcast is going to go. We don't have faith in the outcome. We have faith in what God's calling us to do right now and what He's creating through all of that.
I'm just so excited. I'm excited for how God is moving. I'm excited to see who joins this community. I mean, it has just been, the community has been a blessing to me for sure. I just have really come to look forward to our weekly calls that we do where we connect in. But just even the messages that, we've both been receiving from women that are in there. Man, this is just what I was looking for. I love starting my days in here. Like this, it just so much confirmation that God has got us exactly where He wants us. So,
Yeah.
really excited to see how this community grows and allows us the opportunity to to reach out and be following some of these other missions that God is continuing to put on our hearts of where do people need Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
where do we need to go, and people need to hear this mission and hear this conversation and know that it's okay and that it's safe and that they can sit down some of these idols and these stories that they've just been living like in their own internal prison by the stories they repeatedly tell themselves. And I just feel God doing such a big work with this podcast and with our community that we are going to be reaching those people that feel really lost. And
Mm-hmm.
that just, it gives me chills. Like I've got full body chills just thinking about it. So
Thank you, God.
we'll definitely drop some links in the show notes if you're interested in joining us in that community, or learning a little bit more about us.
Yeah. And um, if you have been listening from the beginning of this show, or this is the first episode that you are finding yourself on, if you are benefiting from these conversations, if God is touching you through these conversations, if you can just do us the biggest favor and like the show, subscribe to the show, leave a rating, leave a review. Different platforms have different orientations to how you can connect with the show. Go across all of them if you're feeling like really froggy, right? And share this episode on your own platforms or other episodes that have touched you on your own platforms. I don't think it is named enough the impact that that has on podcasts when you go out of your way, when you have been touched by something, to share it with somebody else or to share it to your own stories, because it is not without you guys that this show grows, right? Like it is you, the listeners, and you, the community we are building. And that is our greatest prayer and intention through this space, is to really build a sense of community. We want this to be a place that you come to, that you seek comfort, that you seek God, that you seek transformation, that you seek revelation, and that you see us just as two other humans helping you walk home to Him side by side, not in front of, not above. And as much as you may feel like you are receiving help from us in some way, we need your help too in a mission like this to spread the word and to get it out to more eyes and ears. So, shameless ask, if you're benefiting, to share this space as much and as wide as you can.
Love it. Well,
That's all she
anything
wrote.
else? I feel like that's a wrap. Like we did it. We said the things. That was a powerful conversation. Feeling excited. All the links to all the things are going to be in the show notes. So be on the lookout. Follow Molly's new page. Check out this amazing digital product that she is bringing into this world. I promise you guys, it is going to be a knock out of the park. You are going to want to get your hands on that. And also just get in our community. Like if you are enjoying this, like imagine this 2 to 3 times a week in your life, in your face.
Up close and
We have a
personal
good
at
time.
7:30 a.m.
Yeah, that's right.
I just want to
Yeah,
let
so
you
we do
guys know, actually, for anybody who is interested in joining the community, at 7:30 a.m., you will get Jenn exactly how you are getting her right now, like full of energy, fully ready to go, ready to take on the day. She's already been up for a few hours, and you will get me quiet as a little mouse, unable to even get words to come out of my mouth for the first 15 minutes.
God made me like this, okay? God made me a morning
And we love
person, but
it.
you
We
are
need
correct.
it.
Yes, you are correct. But yeah, we gather a couple times every week. We do some co-working spaces together where we get together and we just, even if you're cleaning your house and you want to hop on and listen to some tunes with us and we work and we play and we just have a really great time. We've got some really exciting challenges and devotionals going in there, Bible studies in there. We've got some workouts in there. We're just creating a space that's just going to be really fun to hang out in. And we will be like so blessed and honored if you would join us there. So if this piques your interest, give it a look, reach out to us. No pressure, just nothing but love here. So I think that's all we've got. Thanks for listening as always. And, until next time, just don't forget to remember that
God's
God's
got
got it.
it.
God's got it. Okay, guys, that's a wrap. If today's episode spoke to you, please let us know. Leave us a comment or reach out via email.
If you know someone who would benefit from this message, please take a moment to share it with them and make sure to hit the subscribe so that you never miss an episode.
Thanks for spending time with us today. We hope you leave here reminded that whatever season you're in right now, God's got it.